that we are touched by some tragedy, we begin to look at it and recognize it. And one of the problems that we have as a people, we must learn to prevent those tragedies so that they don't happen, so that we're not in mourning, but rather we are always in celebration. And sometimes we also have to bring things back to reality. Several years ago, the Children's Defense Fund presented some startling statistics. And I want you to think about this, because while we so often point the finger at what other people are doing, Brother Kwame and I, we always like to bring things back to reality, because we refuse to look at what we are doing. Right. And in particular, the brothers who were dealing with the whole psychological piece. I always used to make the argument, how can we talk about psychology as black people or as black students who are at the university who are taking courses in psychology and you never study a Franz Fanon? How can you be a student in psychology and you've never studied Wade Nobles? How can you be a student in psychology and you never studied Dr. Francis Cresswell's? And if you're not studying them and you come back into our communities and you're trying to treat our people, they are worse off being treated by you than if they were even treated by white folks, because you are the face that we recognize, and yet you are coming to our children or to our community and you're teaching them incorrectly. The same thing happens when we look at those who teach our children. You know, it's very interesting that we can praise someone who's an entertainer or an athlete. People always get upset with me, and I always want to recognize my wife. Because I like to brag on my wife.
Go ahead,
I like to brag on the things that we've done as parents, because even though, stand up, baby. Even though both of us came from families where our parents were not together, we learned from that. We learned what it was that they taught us. We learned what they taught us in the black church, the real black church. Some of y'all don't want to deal with that. Okay? And even though they may have been dysfunctional, it didn't mean that we had to be as well. And while many of us might brag about the athleticism and how well we can sing and dance, I'm sorry. I want to brag about my wife and I in terms of how well we have been as parents. 3 sons and nobody's been in jail. Nobody's used drugs. We've taught them how to respect not only us, because that's where they first learn, but we can teach them to respect what they do at home. When they leave the home, I know that they will always respect you. I don't like to always end on a disappointing note, but I want to give us some figures that were presented by the Children's Defense Fund. Some of these are dated, but I want you to listen carefully, because they're worse now than they were 10 years ago. Every day, 4 black children or teens are killed by firearms. Every 2 days, a black child or teen commits suicide. Every 14 minutes, a black child is arrested for violent crimes. 104 are arrested every day. Every 4 seconds, a black public school student is suspended. 6,916 are suspended each day. Every day, 1 black child is killed by abuse or neglect. Every 57 seconds, a black school student is corporally punished. 442 are corporally punished every day. Every 3 minutes, a black child is abused or neglected. 434 abused or neglected each day. Tell me what's going on. If we keep claiming that we're doing what we need to do to make our communities better, if we don't first begin and start with the family, when they leave the family, we send them to school and all these other places, how then can they do well? How then can they do right if they have not first learned to do the right thing at home?